tracking an album? Do you often take samples?
Yeah, I generally almost always make samples for that record specifically, especially with the toms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll take all the toms and I'll put them in there because it's really interesting, because then after the fact I can take all those tom samples and place them exactly in a stereo picture where they end up panned in the picture with the exact mix of that. See, what happens is you record the drum kit and you record the performance and it's done. And then when it's done, it's all panned out and done the way you want it at the time, or actually even if it's not panned out, it's just all on the tracks it needs to be on. Then you have the guy hit all his drums later on the same session. So now when you go to mix, and it's all mixed and perfect and processed the way you want, so are the samples over here. They're all mixed exactly the way you want it. So all you have to do is then take a stereo sample of each one of those things and put it in battery, and it's right where it's supposed to be with the exact ambience that the rest of your mix has. Because the big thing with toms are you try to put a different tom sample over a tom and it's tuned differently and it sounds like dog shit. Yeah. Because the big thing with toms and tom rides, and the biggest problem with toms, is that tom's EQ is 100% diametrically opposed to what makes a cymbal sound good and what makes a tom sound good are opposite. Yeah. So when you hear the tom rides, you hear this horrible sound happen on the cymbal every time a tom comes up, because you want to EQ it. Well, you don't have to EQ it so hard because you can EQ the sample that doesn't have the cymbal on it played over it. So I do my tom samples after I've mixed. That's another thing that's a little different. It's like I'll do kick and snare samples, blah, 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 but my tom samples actually happen after I've generated most of my balance in my mix so that I can get those in that way.
The bass sounds on your album are always phenomenal because they've always got really strong clarity to the note definition, and they're aggressive, sort of throaty sound, but you've always got that note definition.
It's been my experience that you have to use a guitar amp of some kind along with the bass amp, and it gets into the exact same thing we were talking about with the room mics and the drums. It's separated, but I generally record 4 tracks of bass, maybe more. You know, I'll use an SVT and I'll use like an orange through a Marshall 810 or something like that, and it's very like ridiculously mid-range. On its own it sounds like shit, but it sounds like you know, but that's where I get that definition and the note definition, blending some of that in. So I'll have 4 tracks and I'll blend in some of the distorted bass with the regular low SVT sound, then maybe I'll use some other different DIs and different basses together. But some of it's you have to break the bass down, just like a lot of times like drums, into function. It's like, okay, I need low end, I need note definition, I need gain, and then I have a completely dry DI that I can reamp for later on for other stuff, and I may give it even more gain. Maybe I'll need more gain in this section and these verses and less, and I do that by feeding the DI through a different thing or riding up one of those tracks that has more gain on it than the other.
What is your approach to note definition with guitars when recording?
Well, first get the shit in tune, because if it's not in tune, there's not going to be really good note definition. I like using one mic, but it has to be the right mic that can pick up the whole thing. I like, you know, I'll just say, I really like Beyer M160s and things like that for metal. They'll pick up the whole thing, and I won't have to. Or, you know, because if I use the 57-421 thing, they each pick up part of what you like, and a lot of people like that stuff, but then you're dealing with the phase of that.
Do you tend to go for quad-track guitars or double-track? On God Hates Us All, with the guitars quad-tracked, or with a...
They're double-tracked, pretty much triple. I'm a double-triple guy, I'm usually not a quad guy. Why triple versus... I'm a double and triple in the center. You know, I'm a left-right center guy as opposed to 2 lefts and 2 rights. I just think it's too much.
Yeah.
I can get what I want to get from, you know, look, when you talk about Slayer, and it always comes back to the band and the specific thing. And Slayer's like, they have a specific sound. I mean, one dude's got his, and back when I did that record, I don't know what's going on now with them, but that was, you know, that was 2000. So that's coming out of the 90s and coming out of the earlier era. And like, really, they had some real interesting secret weapon shit going on with their guitar sounds, which I won't talk about because it's not my thing. But because of that, it's like, I wanted to make sure that, you know, Jeff was here and Kerry was here, and I wasn't going to double it up or try to put my spin on their thing. It's like, it's about recording Slayer is about capturing Slayer, not having. It has nothing to do with Matt Hyde. It has to do with getting their shit exactly the way it's supposed to be.
But the one guitar sometimes in the middle, is that just overdubs?
Center. Or? It's overdubbed for center, and it's typically used in choruses and in places for higher, bigger impact. It's also used. You know, sometimes it'll be a certain style of guitar, like an Uberschall doing single notes or something like an Uberschall amp doing a single note. Less, less harmonic content because you don't want it to start getting muddy, but maybe to bring up the fundamental of the note more and to give it a subliminal lift.
Do you ever compress vocals when you're recording down?
Yeah, always, yeah. I mean, I don't compress the shit out of them, but I typically use, for the aggressive vocals, like an SM7 or something like that. I usually use some kind of photo optical compressor. I'm a big LA3. I'm an LA3 guy. You can see that's my vocal chain right there.
Yeah.
There are two different vocal chains going right there. One of them, if I'm using like a condenser, you know, like a 47 or a 251 or something like that, I'll just go into the mic pre and into a compressor, or not into a compressor, or into a compressor and just straight the tape because you don't need anything else. But the SM7, I'll typically use a couple different kinds of EQs too to bring certain things out. I'll go mic pre, compressor, EQ, tape. So it's usually the vocals, bass are the things that are going to get recorded with compression.